Okay, so here's a short video about some hidden and cut content from Sonic CD. I wasn't originally planning on making a video about this, but for some reason, some unknowable, indescribable reason, I felt compelled to make this video anyways. Although not exactly a Sonic CD bonus video, it's definitely going to be the closest I ever get to making one, so if that's how you want to think about it, go nuts. Like the Sonic 2 bonus video, this will have material ranging from fairly common knowledge to fans of the game to some more obscure pieces of trivia. Let's start off with some sprites that go unused in the final game. First up are some sprites that appear to be some kind of falling animation. No idea what these could have been used for, but they're kind of similar to this series of unused sprites from Sonic 1. Next up is Sonic being electrocuted, and this is a good one. I like this one a lot. Probably would have been used in Wacky Workbench considering all the electricity hazards, and in fact this sprite is used in the 2011 re-release of the game. Next up is Sonic flailing his arms around. One theory is that he would have used this sprite when underwater or something, not too sure about this one. Here's one of Sonic looking up and backwards. Purpose unknown, possibly a cutscene, because I can't imagine how or why you'd ever need to look up and backwards in regular gameplay. Here's an interesting one of Sonic sneezing. While it's possible this could have been used for some kind of cutscene, on the talk page of the Cutting Room Floor article, user BMF54123 has an interesting theory which I happen to agree with. He theorizes that these clouds of pollen or dust or whatever that these moth-like badniks produce may have been at one point planned to cause Sonic to stop in his tracks and sneeze or something, possibly removed because it would have been really fucking annoying. I also just happened to check this guy's profile, and apparently not only is he an administrator, he was the founder of the original Cutting Room Floor site, which I didn't even know existed until right now. Anyways, next up is Sonic upside down. Possibly some kind of alternate death animation, or maybe some kind of environmental hazard which would grab Sonic and hold him upside down was planned originally. Not too sure. Here's one of Sonic skidding or something. Again, no idea what this could have been used for. And here's a weird one of Sonic shrugging his shoulders. Possibly played when you failed a special stage, maybe? Part of his feet are missing on the last frame for some reason, too. Here's one of Sonic hanging. No idea what these could have been used for, unless in early versions of Sonic CD it was possible to hang yourself. Here's some unused sprite sets. One of them falling back and one of them leaping forward. If I had to make a guess, I'd say these were probably for use in the special stages. In these sprites, Sonic has his chest really far out. Some people think it could have been used for some kind of planned super transformation. I just kinda think it looks like he's thrusting his cross forward or saying "come at me bro" or something. Anyways, that's enough cut sprites. Let's move on to this game's level select. On the title screen, input up, down, down, left, right, B to access the level select screen. The way it works is the first number is the zone, the second number is the act, and the letter is for what time period. The level select in this game works kinda weird. Once you pick a level, you can't continue the game from that point on. As soon as you beat it, you're sent back to the title screen. In fact, if you try to travel through time, then you're sent back to the title screen too. But what's really weird is if you then go back to the level select screen and select the time period you were traveling to, you can continue playing from where you warped. There's some other weird things you can access from the level select, like the warp screen, the opening FMV, and also this one, calming. It takes you to this weird screen with the text "coming soon" scrolling across the screen. Apparently this played after beating the first 3 levels in the beta version, but I'm not sure why they left it in the final build. So you may have noticed when on the level select screen it goes directly from Zone 1 to Zone 3. Now you don't have to be a fucking genius here to figure out that Level 2 was cut from the game. Additionally, during the ending FMV, there's a clip of an unknown level shown between the clips of the first and second levels. The cut second level is known as R2, because the PC version of the game stored the levels in folders like R3, R4, R5, etc. We didn't really know anything about this zone until a post on Sonic Retro by the Taxman, who shared some assets we had access to while working on the 2011 remake. From these sprites, it's fairly clear that this second clip from the credits was, in fact, R2. And Taxman points out that Toei Animation Studios would have started work on the cutscenes fairly early on in development, which further supports this notion. So in addition to the level select screen, this game also has a hidden sound test. On the title screen, press down, 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 left, right, A to access it. From here you can listen to all the sound effects and songs for the game, and there's plenty considering each level has 4 different variations on the music, one for each time period. But what's really interesting about this sound test is by setting all 3 of these numbers to certain combinations you can access hidden images. For example, if we set it to 40, 12, 11, we can find a picture of Tails in the game. This picture of Tails was drawn by Yasushi Yamaguchi, going by Judy Toyota, who's the character designer for Tails and the special stage designer for Sonic CD. This one is fairly well known since it's how you activate debug mode in this game. Also, when you unlock Tails in the 2011 re-release, it says, "See you next game," in reference to this screen. If we set it to 44, 11, 9, we get this cute picture of Sonic drawn by Masahiro Sanpei, landscape designer and animation visual director for Sonic CD. The text above him says, "You are cool," as in it literally phonetically spells out, "You are kuru," in hiragana, which is kind of weird because usually English words like this would be written in katakana. If we do 42, 4, 21, then we can see this hilarious and awesome Batman tribute by Takumi Miyake, landscape and visual designer for Sonic CD. The final boss music plays in the background here. With 42, 3, 1, we get this wonderful picture of the fastest DJ, MC Sonic. I basically love every single thing about this image. Sonic wearing a ring around his neck, Robotnik wearing a Rasta hat, the text "Come in, bad boys," and "Can I kick it?" It's all great, I love it. Again, this is a real image that's actually in a Sonic game. Drawn by Kazuyuki Hoshino, character, special stage, and visual designer for Sonic CD. So there's only one hidden image left, and it might be the most well known. Now before I show you this, let me just set the stage really quick to explain what my first experience with this image was like. I was a young boy, all alone in a dark room in the middle of the night, reading about Sonic Online. Hard to believe, I know. Now I can't remember the exact site I was on, but I remember reading something about a hidden image in Sonic CD which sounded pretty cool. So I boot up Sonic CD, I go to the sound test and enter 46, 12, 25, and this comes up. Now, I know as a grown-ass adult this is beyond not scary to you. Hell, you might be a 13-year-old watching this video who doesn't think this is remotely creepy in the slightest, but I just wanted to explain to you why, as a young, impressionable child, this screen really freaked me the fuck out. Now, I'm not saying I pissed my pants and then hid my pants under my bed, and then my dog found my pants and started running around the house with my pants in his mouth, and then my mom came up and asked why the dog had my pee pants, or anything weirdly specific like that. I'm just saying it gave me a general sense of dis-ease, and I just didn't like it. It doesn't help that the boss music in the US soundtrack is one of the most horrifying songs I've ever heard in my entire life. In fact, the song might be the entire problem, because the screen is significantly less ominous in the Japanese and PAL regions. And since obviously this game was designed with the Japanese soundtrack in mind, I'm gonna have to assume this screen was meant to be silly and humorous, not horrifying and disturbing. It might just sound like I'm being a big baby here, but I promise if you Google this you'll find plenty of people who agree they found it quite unsettling too. Anyways, this picture was drawn by Masato Nishimura, a landscape designer for Sonic CD, and it's signed as Majin, his childhood nickname. The Japanese text reads, "Infinite Fun, Sega Enterprises." You wanna know something fucking weird? This hidden image from the hidden sound test in Sonic CD was just recently referenced in an Adult Swim commercial for the Sonic YouTube page. Yes, you heard me correctly. There was a commercial which aired on Adult Swim a couple months ago for the Sonic YouTube channel, which ended with the phrase "Fun is infinite." And strangely, when they uploaded the trailer to the YouTube page itself, they changed the ending to "Follow the clues." Not sure what clues they're referring to. If anyone is aware of some kind of hyper-autistic Sonic-related ARG, please let me know in the comments, because this is clearly the kind of thing I would be into. Anyways, there's one last thing hidden in this hidden sound test. If we set it to 777, it'll say, "Welcome to Secret Special Stage. followed by taking us to an unused special stage with Robotnik's gigantic head in the background. If you complete this stage, it'll display a secret credits screen. Hey look, there's Majin again. There are a couple prototypes of this game, but I don't really feel like going super in-depth into them. It is worth mentioning that in the earliest one, apparently this game was still known as CD Sonic. Also, the special stages weren't complete yet, and have this hilarious message flashing. The programmer has a nap. Hold out, programmer! Here's something kind of interesting. Near the end of Quartz Quadrant Zone 1 in the past, there's this inaccessible room with the letters CX in the background. People have been wondering what exactly is the deal with this room for years, with some speculating it could be a signature from the map's creator. I think this is a likely theory. If you enter right, up, down, C on the title screen, you're taken to the game designer's best times for the time attack mode, which includes a designer with the initials CXX. Seems like a plausible theory, and I guess at the end of the day we'll just never know what it means for sure. This isn't much of a secret, but something that apparently not everyone knows is that in this game, Sonic's foot tapping is not just an idle threat. If you stand completely still for 3 whole minutes, he says, "I'm out of here," and jumps away.
I'm out of here!
It actually uses a voice sample for Sonic, which was pretty rare. I guess classic Sonic wasn't completely mute despite his portrayal in Generations. Instant game over too, which shows he's not fucking around. I know that it is clearly being implied that he's just leaving of his own volition because he's impatient with you. But as a kid, I couldn't help but interpret this as Sonic committing suicide. I mean, he's jumping off the bottom of the screen, game over is coming up, 2 things that usually only happen when you fucking die. So I just couldn't help but interpret this as that he got so bored that he literally killed himself. Frankly, I think that's some pretty dark commentary on boredom and human nature, and what loneliness and ennui can do to a person, and how when we lack stimulation, we lose all reason to keep living. So we'll resort to anything to distract us from the inevitability of our time slowly ticking away. Be it drugs, casual sex, or making videos for the internet about old games that used to actually make you feel something. Anything to take our minds off our impending death. I'm wondering how many years it'll be after we die that everyone we've ever met dies too, inevitably leading to our very essence fading from the collective memory of mankind. But I don't think that's necessarily what the developers were going for when they included this Easter egg, so let's just move on. I wanted to quickly talk about 2 cut levels from the game, but not from the original game. These were levels that were at one point planned to be added to the 2011 re-release. Paxman had planned to make 2 additional levels for the game, one of which would have been Desert Dazzle, a level based on the mock-up image of the cut Sonic 2 level, Dust Hill Zone. And although this level was cancelled, some of the assets and the general idea would get reused from Mirage Saloon Zone in Sonic Mania. The other would have been called Final Fever, which would have been a brand new final boss only accessible by collecting the 7 Time Stones. Based on what he says his plans for it were, I honestly think it sounds pretty fucking cool. Way better than the actual final boss for Sonic CD, which is honestly pretty fucking pathetic. I mean, it's not the worst boss of all time or anything, it's just kind of disappointing as a final boss. Unfortunately, Sega nixed these ideas because they wanted a more faithful port of the game. I can see where they're coming from, and with Sonic Mania on the way, I'm not too broken up over these missing levels, but I will say they should have just let him make a new final boss. And that's actually kind of all I have to say about Sonic CD. But you know what? I do have some more stuff I want to talk about related to Sonic 1, and if you've watched this far, you'll probably enjoy this stuff too. So sit back and enjoy part 2 of the Sonic CD bonus video, the bonus Sonic 1 bonus video. So let's quickly go over a few unused sprites from Sonic 1. First is Sonic gulping for air while standing, and the second is Sonic running while holding his breath, presumably for when he was close to drowning and the countdown music is playing. I gotta say, I kinda love this sprite, and I really wish it was in the final game. Here's a very famous unused sprite. It's Sonic pumping his fists in the air, and we know exactly what this would have been used for. It was originally used when you beat an act, and we have pre-release screenshots which show this. And funny enough, the same idea has basically made its way into Sonic Mania. It's just another reference to these fucking cut Sonic materials, which you gotta know about if you wanna know all the Sonic lore and fully appreciate Sonic Mania. I also want to talk about this motherfucker right here. Splash the fucking rabbit. An unused badnik who was apparently cut very late in development because he was still used in promotional material and would go on to appear in the comics and stuff. I actually had a fucking Sonic the Hedgehog trading card with splats on it, and it always bugged me that I could never find him. He even made it into toy form despite never appearing in the game. Here's a pretty fucking obscure code for Sonic 1. If you're playing the first revision of the game on a Japanese console only, then on the title screen you can press CCC, CCC, up, down, 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 left, right. Then you should hear a ring chime. Now hold down A, B, C, and when the demo ends you'll see a hidden credits screen on the Sonic Team Presents screen. These credits are actually always there, but because it's black text on a black background, it's impossible to see. This is the only version of the game that it works on. If you want to do this in an emulator, you'll have to make sure the region is set to Japan. Wait, press start? What the fuck? Press start? What the fuck? There's no fucking press start on the Sonic title screen. What the fuck is this? Well, it turns out every single copy of Sonic 1 has the text press start in the game, and it's supposed to be on the main title screen, but was accidentally dummied out by the programmers by mistake. It can be seen in some of the pre-release images of the title screen, and honestly, I had no fucking idea that this was the case until I started making this video. Apparently, for some reason, activating the secret credits re-enables it for some reason? This is some seriously weird shit. Here is an insanely minor revisional difference between revision 00 and revision 01. I already went over this already basically unknown shortcut in Labyrinth Zone Act 1. But did you know that in revision 01 of the game, they added one single ring right here? In the first version of the game, the maximum amount of rings you could get using this shortcut was 49, which was one shy of being able to enter the special stage at the end of the act. So some kind-hearted developer went out of his way to add this one ring, just because he's such a nice guy that he didn't want to screw you over just because you took the shortcut. Whoever you are, Sonic 1 developer guy who added this ring, I just wanted to say thank you. Okay. I'm about to tell you something that ruined my fucking life. If I could go back in time and not learn this, I would. This is something that once I tell you, you'll never be able to not know it, and you'll never be able to not see it. So this is your final chance to have Sonic 1 not permanently and completely ruined forever. For the faint of heart, please skip to the time code shown on the screen. Alright, so, on the title screen, there is a glitch which causes all the objects, the logo, the trademark, and even the missing press start text to be misaligned. Everything in this image is 8 pixels off center to the left. This is what it should look like, and this is what it actually does look like. I have to say, once I found this out, Sonic 1 instantly became unplayable to me. I feel nauseous every time I boot the game up and look at this title screen, so I can't even bring myself to play it anymore. Now, this isn't quite as ruinous because frankly, I don't really give a shit about it. But one more absolutely unforgivable goof is related to the hidden end of act point bonuses you can find by jumping around. Thankfully, the 1000 and 10,000 point bonuses work just fine, but the 100 point bonuses only give you 10 points. Apparently this is due to a missing 0 in the points array or something. Not really a deal breaker, but I just thought I should mention it. Next up are a couple glitches which aren't too obscure, but I'm going to include them anyways because I really like them. If you want to crash the fuck out of this game, then try rolling at the end of Act 1 or 2 of Labyrinth Zone. For whatever reason, this seems to really freak the game out. Another weird one is at the end of Act 2 of Labyrinth Zone, instead of going to the signpost, as soon as the camera locks horizontally, run as far to the left as you can, and you'll despawn it, leaving you completely unable to beat the zone. Here's a classic one. It's possible after the very last hit on the final boss, to hit him again as he's going back down into the ground. It's tough to do, your timing has to be very precise, but if you can do this, it confuses the game and his health underflows, meaning it now requires 255 hits to kill. And of course, this is totally impossible to achieve within the 10-minute time limit, so you're basically totally fucked. Next I want to talk about some pre-release info. Sonic 2's appearance on Nick Arcade is well known, but a prototype version of Sonic 1 actually appeared on the pilot episode of the show, complete with an early version of Green Hill Zone with some kind of large boulder that chases you around. In my original Sonic 1 bonus video, I showed you some concept art, including one of this Oswald the Rabbit-looking motherfucker, who is a potential character design for Sonic. But I want to briefly go over a few other famous pieces of concept art for the game. Naoto Oshima came up with several drawings exploring ideas for the character of Sonic. The first one shows Sonic with a human girlfriend named Madonna. Of course, they decided hedgehog on human romance was not a good idea, and thankfully, no future Sonic game would ever go on to include such an utterly ridiculous concept. Around the same time the Madonna idea was created, Oshima drew this picture showing potential enemies Sonic could fight, including Weird Hand Man, Cannon Boy, the Grabber, Donald Dick, that guy, and Bumblebee Robotnik. And I guess they liked Robotnik's design enough to keep him, but they decided to scrap the rest of these apparently. Another idea they had was that Sonic should be in a band, the Sonic the Hedgehog Band. In very early stages of planning, one idea was that Sonic would go through levels rescuing his bandmates or something. Also check it out, there's Vector. Finally, the last thing I want to talk about is the very first time the public ever laid eyes on Sonic the Hedgehog 1, the 1990 Tokyo Toy Show. Unfortunately, no videos exist of this debut, however there are a handful of pictures and various accounts describing it. It took place in an early Green Hill Zone with a much different background, and objects in the foreground. Sonic's standing animation was very different than in the final game, and his running animation was slightly different too. Sonic passes by a strange welcome sign which appears to read, "You are welcome, Sega Sonic." Sonic passes by an enemy and, oh look, it's that guy! Different color scheme, but it's definitely the same guy. Eventually, the Japanese text for "debut approaching" would appear on screen, and the demo would end. Apparently, Yuji Naka claims this tech demo was planned to appear in the Sonic Mega Collection, but those chuckle fucks over at Sega lost the ROM for this, meaning that we'll likely never see it. Well, like I said at the start of this video, this was meant to be a short video, but then I just started talking about Sonic, and I kept talking, and I couldn't stop talking. So I'm just gonna have to arbitrarily cut myself off here before the video gets so long that no one will even watch it. Hopefully you learned something about Sonic, and maybe even about yourself. Feel free to follow me on Twitter where you can vote for what video you want to see me make next, and thanks for watching.